video is going to be quick. Just wanted to do a video on getting your swing in Koala. Now, my way is not the only way, and it's not necessarily the right way. So I'm going to say that up front. This is just how I do it. So when you watch this video, you probably have your own way of doing it or ways that you enjoy doing it. First thing is make sure you have obviously a kick snare and a hat for sure. Percussion helps a lot with the swing too, and sometimes having a secondary hat or a secondary something that you can offset. So we'll talk about that in a minute. I'll find another. Sorry about this. Mic is rubbing against the my shirt there, so it's making that noise. So excuse that up front. All right, so let's just go ahead and throw something simple in. I'm gonna say this up front. I usually say turn off quantize. Um, you can always quantize stuff later. Okay, if you're off a little bit, let's set the BPM to about 85 ish. We'll go 86. That's fine. Turn the metronome on. You do need a metronome to listen, so you can get your timing right. It's gonna give you. Make sure you have a count in set too. So go to your. I think it's under general. Set your count in. See how I have mine to 1 bar. At least give you a 4 bar count in, right? Or, for a 1 bar count in, right? So here we go. Okay, so you see I played that in with no. Let me turn on the mouse too here. 1 second. Might help because I can point out stuff, and plus we can use it for editing. So if you look here, here's the grid. So you can see it's a little bit off. Everything's a little off. Even the snares are a little off. Sometimes to get swing, if you push the snare, at least one snare, let's take this snare, take the snap off or set it to free rather, I'm sorry, and just move it a slight bit. This one's already done naturally. And then put this one a little bit right on the grid. Same here, it's going to be on the grid. So having one snare off and one snare on sometimes can add to the swing. Versus if you go here and highlight this area. Hold on, let me do just that. I'm having trouble with the mouse doing it. And you hit snap, it's going to send it as close as it can to the bar. Okay, we don't want that because that is so perfectly on, it sounds robotic. See, so if you have something like this that's kind of off, it sounds too robotic. So we'll put that there. So I'm going to adjust the kicks, put them on, and I'm going to just take the snare and adjust them slightly off. In fact, I might adjust this one a little bit behind on the grid. Same here, just a little bit behind. So I don't care for this one actually to be there. I want it to be on. So it just depends on the situation. In this particular case, I'm going to just leave it on. So there you go. So that's half your battle. The other thing is adjusting volumes. So don't keep everything at one volume. Make sure you adjust some of these kicks so that they're different volumes. You don't want everything exactly right on. So do that there. There you go. So now you have. So that's a start. So then Koala has its own swing feature in here. So you could add that. If you do 50%, this is what you get. So it gives it a little more. Now let's do some hats. So on the hats, a lot of times I would go in on hats and just use, and I would turn on this right here, set the note repeat. Make sure you turn velocity on and up and down on the velocity. So I'm gonna use my finger, although you just saw me do it with the mouse. So changing velocity, heavy shifts in velocity can make it feel like it's swinging. Plus, this will keep you on time. So if you hit record, so you notice how I see the difference. So even though I did that with the note repeat, because I went those heavy velocity changes, and you can see the notes right here, how they vary, kind of helps. Now I'm going to do it again. Let's see if we can just highlight this bottom portion. I'm going to delete it. Now I'm going to do it just to show you the difference when you do it without velocity, and we'll just turn it off. This is everything sounding exactly the same. It missed the spot, so 1 second. There you go. So it sounds okay, but because there's no variation in it, now if we go in here and start drastically adjusting these, you can already feel just by doing that the swing is it gives a better swing. So that's just simple stuff, right? Now I'm going to show you one more tool you can do. So we're going to go ahead and delete this. We'll put it back in with the velocity. I'll record it again. Oops, not pitch, velocity. There we go. All right, so now we'll record it this time, and I'm going to use the velocity. So again, like I showed you. Here we go. Okay. So that helps, but let's take it another step further. This time we're going to highlight those notes. Now, one of the challenges in Koala, and I'll say this, I hope this gets adjusted, is when you're selecting, if you could touch here. Oh, that's my phone. Okay. If you could adjust by just touching here and then highlight all the notes, that would be kind of nice, but that would make it easier and quicker instead of having to select them. But sometimes select is an option you want. Okay, so we have free, you notice, on. So with the hat, sometimes what I like to do, well, first of all, I'm going to shorten these notes like that so you can see the movement. And then I'm going to slide them a little off grid. So we're just nudging them slightly off. Just see how slightly off that is. If you look here with my mouse, this is the grid line right here. This is slightly off. Now you get and you can play with this because you don't have to do every one of them exactly like that. So maybe the first one's that way, the second one's on, maybe this one's a slight bit before it. Leave that one off. Maybe put this one dead on. So now you have. So it just changes the way it sounds, right? Just from slight adjustments. So we'll push this one just a little bit before. So I know this is tedious to most people. And yes, it would be cool to have a humanized feature in here where it just kind of slightly does this for you. But this can really make a difference in your hat sounding like they have some groove behind them. Now, mind you, we do have this swing ons, but even if I take the swing off, listen to it now. Huge difference than if they're right on. Trust me on that. You can try it yourself just to prove it to yourself. You can go in and adjust these things and put them right on versus that. Then start playing with the swing maybe last if you want to get real. Swing heavy, put it at maybe 75%. So you can do this even with drawing in. So if you had one here and you wanted to go in and draw it in the way I was moving notes around, pretty simple. So if you don't play, I don't know why I made that extra copy, but if you don't play and you're on your phone or whatever and you're drawing in notes, same principle. You can do all this stuff with that. Um, and I'm sorry about that. Again, I keep forgetting that the microphone's on this cable, so I have to hold it. Otherwise, it's gonna mess up again. So sorry about that little rubbing, clicky vinyl crackle sound. You can sample that, by the way, if you want to. No charge. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so there you go. And then if you really, like I said, want to get more into making your songs have a little. So sorry about that. The mic cuts off when I go back and forth to pull sounds. But anyway, if you really want to add more, you have a sample like this. And then I say I'll just go ahead and use the time stretch on this. Probably just that one right there is fine. You don't have to use all 4 bars. You can make it less if you want. You could, yeah, you could come down and maybe do, hold on, let's see. Take the stretch off. Pick a spot that you want. Like, I think if we started right there and then stretch this for 2 bars. I'm actually going to crop this sample just to make it shorter. Let me see what that sounds like reversed. Nope, not happening there. All right, so if you, this isn't my favorite sample, by the way, but we're just going to put it in here just to show you. This is 2 bars, so we'll have to, now with this, remember the way you select your samples and stuff like that, the sound matters. Okay, it matters on what you do. You got to pick the good sample. If you don't, it's gonna sound bad. No matter how much you tweak on it and work on it, you're not gonna like it if you don't have a good sample. So make sure you pick stuff that you like. Okay, you can build your own perk loops. I'm just using a perk loop to show you. This isn't my favorite perk loop by any means. I'm not a fan of this perk loop by any means. I'm gonna pick a different one actually. Let me go see. Okay, by the way, I was watching a YouTube video with Robin Thicke. He's a R&B artist for those that don't know. Anyway, he was saying when they were making the one of his famous songs. Oh Lord, I can't even think of what the name of it is. But if you know him, you know it's one of his most famous. Anyway, he used a sound of a friend that was in the studio using a broom for something. It was like some type of broom, and he was brushing the floor or something, and it sounded like the perfect shaker loop, and that's how they put the loop in. So he's a professional. These are people that are, you know, winning awards for songs and writing songs and stuff. So if they can use anything like a broom, feel free to use whatever you have to make percussion loops and whatever, because that's impressive in my mind. And it really, all that matters is, does it sound good, right? So this isn't great, but it'll probably work. Yeah, it's much better. Of course, you gotta adjust. A lot of times with the perk loops, I'll just have them slightly in the track where they're there. Might adjust the tone a little bit. There you go. Okay, and this is actually playing. It says it's 4 bars, but I think because I actually forgot to stretch this out. I need to stretch it all the way out to 4 bars. There we go. Now, so the point is, use swing in the app, right? Right here. Use those features of making sure you have varied velocity on your hats. Use the feature of nudging notes forward and backward of the grid so that stuff is off grid. That's the human feel that gives you that swing that you like so much. It's natural rhythms and offbeat a little bit. If you put everything perfect on the grid, it's going to sound like that. It's going to sound like it's robotic in some ways. So play around with your notes, moving them around different places. Experiment is the best way to find that sound and that unique flavor that you want in your rhythms. And other than that, that's really all I do personally. I don't do a lot of. I'm not a drummer, so it's me listening to things and hearing sounds. And I've seen where some guys here. I'll show you. Do this real quick. This will be the last thing I show you. Where they'll resample. I'm not going to resample my voice, but they'll resample. Let's say this particular hat they want to resample. So you said it on. Okay, I'm back. All right, so I did it twice just in case. So, okay, so Koala typically, if you have it set up where it'll auto chop there, but you can also, if you don't want to do the adjusting of the notes, I'm gonna move this over here, set these on one shot. So you'll see how there's a gap on this one right here. Some guys will leave space in front of the actual sound. To me, that's the same thing as just nudging the note off a little bit. So you could do it this way if this is your comfort zone. Or you could just do the nudging. I actually prefer the nudging because I don't have to have 2 samples here. It's less work for me. Plus, if I'm off here, I got to constantly go back in and adjust it inside of the thing versus just moving on the sequence, just moving a note off or on is much easier for me. But that's just me. And don't forget your snap down here, set it to free. That allows you the freedom to move the note. All right. So I hope this helps you. For those that asked about this, I'm trying to do videos based on not only things I like, but things people want to know how I do. So I'm just showing you my method to this madness, and hopefully you'll figure your lane and your way of doing this. And so this is it for this video, and I'm out.